Hello and welcome to Problem Solved. I'm IISE's Keith Albertson. In recent years, industrial and systems engineering concepts have been in great demand worldwide, increasing the need for IISE education and expertise. In this episode, we discuss this growth, starting with Gino Lim, IISE Senior Vice President of International Operations and a professor and chair of the Industrial Engineering Department at the University of Houston. Dr. Lim joins us in our Problem Solve studios today. He's been meeting this week with the Board of Trustees here. First off, tell us a little bit about your role as Vice President of International Operations, some of the initiatives you're involved with the board.
Thank you, Keith. Yeah, my role as SVP of International Operations is to serve the community beyond the North America. So that includes South America and Middle East, Asia, Europe, and all other members we have worldwide.
IISE membership has been growing very steadily in recent months, and a lot of that has been international growth. We're getting a lot of new members and partners from outside the United States. What are some of the efforts you think and maybe some of the factors that has helped spark this growth?
I would like to say a lot of effort coming from IISE staff, including Doug and James and other folks. And more importantly, Board of Trustees initiative to expand the operation and serve a big community worldwide. So if you look at the global population and the trend where it's going, it's a one community, right? It's community getting smaller and smaller in some way. And we need to reach out to those people, all community, that are crucial for our organization. So that's the reason why it is growing. I think that this is going to continue to grow.
And I know it's been a lot of the discussions in the board meeting on how to keep this going. What are some of the initiatives and some of the efforts you see coming down the road that are going to help keep us going in this direction? So
before I say that, we have this theme, as a branding, recruitment, engagement, and service, right, or retention. IISE is a big brand. Obviously, this flagship organization in the United States, and we want to push that to the all over the world. So some of the initiatives, such as what Doug has been doing, James, reaching out to international partners such as Indonesia. We had a meeting with 200 department heads, and the meeting with European partners. We had a great conversation with Norway and France and Italy and Spain. They will be on the list of a conversation we'll have. So this kind of activities will grow. We want to continue doing that. And on top of that, we had a great conversation during the board meeting that how can we co-sponsor international conferences. I see that there's a big value, and as you know, I wish people from outside know IISE as much as we do internally. Mm-hmm. So I think it's our duty and responsibility to educate them and be able to communicate with them what we offer that they can benefit them, which they didn't know about, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it seems like a real opportunity there because as we see a lot of countries expanding their economies, a lot of organizations looking to improve their processes. We've had articles in our magazine in our November issue kind of focused on that, on how some of the developing countries are really starting to develop their organizations, their businesses, and their business processes. There seems to be a real opportunity there to reach out to them and connect them with the kind of training and expertise that we have to offer.
Absolutely. We are talking about supply chain issues and training, student training, and just like Six Sigma we talked about before, ABET training. These are all the things that every organization would need, right? So it doesn't matter academic side or the industry side. And good thing is that we do have the expertise within IISE, right? So these are something that we should really bring up to the international communities, which they love it, right? So, and the more we get them engaged, And I see this going to be a huge success in the moving forward.
And a lot of your research that you've done, we'll talk about that a little bit more, involves such things as healthcare. You've done some research on port security, evacuation planning. These are all things that are sort of worldwide concerns as we have, for instance, disasters and storms as a result of climate change. It seems like there are a lot of organizations in the world that need those sort of ideas and processes, right?
Absolutely. That's the beauty of, I think, ISE, industrial and systems engineering. Commonly, people don't know what we do, right? So I don't want to say we are jack of all trades, but the techniques we teach our students and expertise we have, we are good at modeling. We'll observe data and then try to find the creative solutions for academic people and industry, right? So I think that's where I am thriving with those research. And I'm helping, as you mentioned, I'm helping with the local hospitals, medical center. MD Anderson Cancer Center is one of the largest cancer centers in the world. I work with them on the cancer treatment optimization, as you mentioned about evacuation planning. That's a big issue. Houston, Louisiana, and Florida, and even New York, they are getting hit by hurricanes. And how do you evacuate them quickly out of the harm's way so that you can save lives, right? So these are kind of things we can use analytics, optimization, simulation, all relevant.
You're also part of a new group, the IISE International Ambassadors, that was recently formed, again, with sort of the same ideas in mind to do more outreach. What sort of efforts is that group undertaking at this point? Yeah,
so before I say that, I really appreciate the way IISE Board of Trustees made that as a part of the strategic plan, right? So based on that, Bapaya and some other folks got together and let's push this as a new agenda. I think I see that now. So they brought up this idea to IISE Fellows meeting, and we thought that's great. It's perfect. That's in line with what we're trying to do. So we had a volunteer group of 8 faculty members, and they're IISE fellows, and the total 8, but 5 of them are in the United States and 3 outside the United States. And we select those members specifically targeting 4 different regions, Middle East, Europe, and United States, and all that. So Asia. So what's happening now is we've been talking with the partners individually. So think about it. So we got a big push for reaching out to international partners. It can be a little vague. I know Julie Swan and NC State working with ACETA came up with a list of universities worldwide. But that's a great starting point. Now we want to do something more intimate. So people who are well known in different regions, such as Manoj is well known in India. So he will be the base, and he will be reaching out personally to people in India. And same thing for other folks as well, right? So I think that's what we're doing, a little different than other folks in terms of what I do as SVP of International Operations, as well as CETA. Kind of
puts a personal face to connect
Absolutely.
People a little bit. Yeah. Well, and we also have seen some examples of some university partnerships partnering with other countries to share their expertise. Is anything like that going on at the University of Houston? Or are there any sort of initiatives there that are sort of bringing people together globally?
I think that is something I see huge potential item that will give us a big dividend for the effort we're making. So yes, we do. So we got two tiers. One is student exchange program, and the other one is a faculty exchange program. One gentleman that I've been enjoying talking with the Doug, along with the Doug Long, is Fabio. Fabio is a faculty in Norway. He had education in the United States, and he visited Rutgers and some other universities. He loves it. So that is kind of people that we would love to find more, identify those people, and be able to give them what they're looking for, right? So people, things go well when the organization provides the venue, they can thrive. So that I see that as a huge benefit. So yeah, we do that within university. We had a faculty exchange with the Chinese faculty members. Now they are helping me, reaching out to their friends in China. Right. So we'll be doing the same thing in other countries. And in terms of student exchange program, I've been recruiting students from France every year. Give them 3 months internship. What that has been working well for me is to engage their faculty from their university. Right? So I think that is a great way to expand our networks.
Yeah, we look forward to see where this goes in the future and how we continue to grow in this direction. You're telling us briefly about some of the other research you're involved with, including surveillance drones. Just give us a little taste of what you're working on right now.
Yeah, this drones, research in drones is amazing, and it's fun. Initially, I began doing this. It came out of nowhere. A friend of mine from Texas A&M University, School of Public Health, he and I would love to get together for a beer, right? So we sat down, and I told him, look, I've been playing with the drones. And it's really cool because this is going to be future. I knew there was going to be future. That was several years ago. And then he just kind of challenged me. Hey, can you do something about rural patients, right? Can you help them somehow? I was like, how can I help them? And so he and I kind of talked about it and realized that, you know what? There is a way we can help them. Rural patients, not like urban patients, they live, houses are like miles apart from each other, right? And so they get those prescription drugs and all that. Yeah, you can do so using mail order and other things. What's lacking? Access, real-time access. And really difficult to find medical providers to work with the rural patients because this profit is not there much, right? So we thought that, well, that'll be great. So with drones, I can put microphones, cameras, whatever I want to. So let's do that. So that will be, we can augment those technology and give them access to the provider on real time, right? So we'll deliver this medical supply, whatever that may be. It could be routine medicine they have to take or anything else you want to test them, right? So now you fly drone to their location and then it can talk to them in person. Right, so that is huge difference between what you do with a mail order from Amazon or other things, right?
Yeah.
It's wonderful opportunity for the rural patients because now they don't have to drive to the clinic.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about weather condition. In Houston, sometimes flooding happens all the time, so they don't have to worry about that, right? So we've been expanding that now. With there's a wonderful optimization problem called drone-based, mothership-based drone routing. So now you send the truck, and the drone will go, and you can dispatch drone from there and meet the patient and do whatever you need to do and bring it back and continue doing that, right? So that's a similar idea as last mile delivery, but that's different. It's not completely different problem, but there are different problems that we've been tackling. And the surveillance you mentioned, yes, Homeland Security is a big issue for the country, right? So United States share a big border, long border with Mexico, 4 states, California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. So not all borders are like wide open. Some of them are pretty harsh environment. And you hire people to patrol the border, and yeah, there's pros and cons. Giving them a job is a good thing. I think we should maintain that. Bad thing is you hire those well-educated people to do simple things. Mm-hmm. Now, even so, what you're missing the areas where people cannot go often. The second, if you send people to patrol, it's not continuous surveillance. So if you send a drone, it's not expensive drone. I'm not talking about expensive $1 million drones. It's small drones, right? If you send the drones, you can do continuous surveillance along the border anywhere you want. One caveat is battery.
Yeah.
So small drones can fly about 25 minutes. That's gonna help. That's gonna be a solution. So we came up with this kind of very nice idea. I think a very nice idea. I hope that people will agree. You can install this power line along the border where drones can continuously fly along the border and being charged while they're flying. Huh. Yeah, it can have much longer flight time.
It's like a third rail for a train.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what the idea is.
Wow.
So this, I hope that someday they will see this as a value and be able to implement. But as of now, I do not have the actual line. I haven't. I'm a Endos engineer who really has not spent much time on developing device other than the idea. So I'm just waiting for someone to pick up to make it happen.
Yeah. Well, drones are really cool, and we're fascinated by that. So I'm definitely going to follow up with you on that to see how it comes along later. We appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for talking to us. We're glad to have you here with our board this week, and we look forward to seeing what comes in the future.
Thank you. You guys are wonderful. I'm always excited about what we can do for other people in IISE, expanding the networks we have, and having other people know what we do, so they can get benefit from us, right? So thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you. Next, we talk to IISE's Doug Long and James Swisher on the Institute's global partnership outreach efforts and the ongoing expansion of international training courses. Doug and James, thanks for being with us as we talk about our international growth. Doug, let's start with you. We've seen a lot of growth in our partners and membership, and a lot of it internationally. Just give us a general idea of the kind of growth we've been looking at recently.
Well, I'd be happy to. Thank you, Keith. The growth we've been seeing really over the last, I'd say probably 3 years in particular, has been significant. And most of that growth has actually been coming from our international partners, really around the world. And there's no region where we're really not growing right now. IISE has long since been aiming to be a truly global association that represents the industrial systems engineering profession. And I think we're finally at a point where we're really realizing that. And really in the last, I'd say 6 to 12 months in particular, the growth has really accelerated. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're now reaching our academic partners and industry partners really around the world. We've come up with a lot of really creative ways to try to serve them. And so we're really excited about the growth.
And as you said, this is not just an accident. This has been a kind of a movement and an effort. Tell us how the specific focus of IISE leaders has been to grow our membership internationally.
Well, the Board of Trustees, which is the governing body, elected leaders from our membership, they have long since been focusing on international growth. That's always been a priority for the Institute. And we've had some success in past years, but nothing like what we're really seeing right now. And I would say probably 3 to 4 years ago in particular, there was increased emphasis. And so with their support, a lot of outreach, and really seeking a lot of feedback from our international partners on how we can better serve them. We've had a renewed emphasis around that. One of the parts of my role here at the Institute is really focusing on that international growth. So I've been spending a larger proportion of my time really focusing on outreach efforts, trying to seek the voice of the customer from our existing partners to really better understand how we can serve them. And with their help, their input, and a lot of effort here by staff and the team members, we've really been trying to tailor our products and our services really in a way that better serves our members outside the domestic U.S.
And James, turning to you on the training side, give us an idea of the kind of efforts we're seeing in reaching our training out across the world, especially since for a couple of years there during the pandemic, we weren't able to do as much training, or certainly in person. Just give us an idea where we are with that right now.
Yeah, it's a great question, Keith. And, it's funny when you think about how broad our discipline is. We've got 14 bodies of knowledge, or 14 areas in the body of knowledge, the IISE body of knowledge. We offer more than 75 courses through the training center. So we've always, we've got this broad field of expertise, and we've got all these courses that cover it. But the one thing we haven't always been is broad in terms of our geography, our outreach beyond the U.S. and I guess I would say North America. We certainly have had a long-standing relationships with universities in both Canada and Mexico. But outside of North America, we weren't doing a whole lot. And I'm really proud of the efforts that Doug and the team have taken on over the last couple of years that really have expanded our ability to reach outside of the U.S. and bring value to people all around the world. This is an international discipline, and it's wonderful to be able to offer training opportunities internationally as well. Far and away, just like in the U.S., our most popular courses definitely are our Lean Six Sigma certification programs. That's certainly true internationally as well. And you mentioned the pandemic. One of the things pre-pandemic that was a challenge for us is those classes were taught almost exclusively live in person. And the pandemic really forced us to rethink how we offer our training programs and really get smarter and better at offering programs that didn't rely just on a live instructor in a group classroom setting. So our what we call live stream courses, which is a live instructor with over the internet. Those courses have really evolved for us and have given us a great platform to serve groups outside of the U.S. And then our asynchronous online on-demand training, our self-paced training. We've really expanded the availability in multiple languages for those courses so that we can offer courses in non-traditional formats. It doesn't have to be a classroom format with an instructor. That's really, really changed the game for us. So while the pandemic was hard on us and hard on lots of organizations, it really forced us to think differently and to create programs that make our training much more accessible to international participants. And we're really proud of that. We're excited about it. And the other thing that it did, it also opened our eyes to bringing in instructors from outside the U.S. So having live remote instruction from instructors outside of the U.S., but that's way more possible than it ever was. In fact, we've got a wonderful Data Science 101 course with Ed Biddle from IBM UK. That course wouldn't have been possible a couple of years ago. Ed wasn't going to fly to the U.S. to do that, probably. Maybe he was, but probably not. But now Ed can reach an international audience, in seconds. So I think that's really a wonderful opportunity for us, not only to grow our outreach to participants in the courses, but also to grow the number of instructors that can reach folks around the world.
And it's really a growth area. As you mentioned, too, it's given us an opportunity to kind of retool how we do our virtual training a little bit too. How is it a little bit different in terms from an instructor's point of view to be able to take that virtual training and really connect with people as well?
Well, that's $1 million question, isn't it? I think we're still learning. Our instructors have worked really hard, and we've worked very closely with them to really tailor the hands-on exercises that we used to do in live in-person courses and make them applicable to a remote virtual audience. So we've worked really hard to make sure that there's lots of opportunity for interaction and collaboration among the group, that the exercises are things that folks can do individually from their individual locations, but still in a group setting. And And we've also worked with some of our training partners to provide some simulations and tools that are a lot of fun, that replicate things that we do in person in our classes. So many people are familiar with the Statapults that we use for Six Sigma courses that teach you about variability. Well, it's kind of hard to set up a catapult online, but we do have a training partner who has a wonderful online simulation of that exact same idea of setting the settings on the catapult and aiming at a target and seeing how close you get. So we've really tried to be smart about taking the best elements of what works live in person and tweaking those to make them relevant to either a live virtual audience or to an audience that's taking the material at their own pace.
And kind of a thought for both of you, in addition to our efforts to outreach, I think we're seeing worldwide a lot of developing economies in particular really hungering for the kind of methods and ideas in IISE training and partnership. Starting with you, Doug, are you seeing like maybe just a real quest for what we offer based on the fact that a lot of countries are growing their manufacturing base and really want to expand the way they do things?
That's a great question, Keith. And the short answer is yes. And what we're seeing is that really around the world, particularly countries that are growing from an industry standpoint, particularly in a lot of industries like manufacturing and others, there is a huge demand for talent coming out of universities with the industrial systems engineering background for many reasons. One, there's a huge need for it within the country to certainly improve productivity, quality, optimizing processes, and really making them cost competitive, not only within their country, but really globally. And we have a lot of large partners who I've heard say over and over, one of the things that they love about industrial and systems engineers is the fact that they can use them kind of like utility players. Wherever they throw them, they land on their feet and they normally are able to do a great job for them. So it's a very, very versatile skill set. James and I are obviously probably a little biased here because that's our background as well. But candidly, it is one of the most universally applicable disciplines that you could possibly have. And I say that with a lot of objectiveness because I've hired hundreds and hundreds of all types of engineers across my career. But hands down, the most versatile is the industrial systems engineer. And I think that's the reason why we see in a lot of these countries, the largest single engineering program often is industrial systems engineering. It is considered to be the profession of choice because the demand is so high for that type of talent.
And such a flat earth economy right now, too, that all these skills really apply everywhere. James, that kind of training that we do is really going to be helpful to pretty much everyone in any economy, right?
No doubt. That's exactly right, Keith. I think there was a time when we saw a difference between the kind of education and training opportunities that were available in the U.S. and outside of the U.S., but that's really no longer the case. Doug and I experience this every day particularly as we work with universities internationally. They have fantastic programs. They have super bright kids who are really ready, willing, and able to take on anything that the world throws them. And they're looking for the exact same opportunities that folks in the U.S. are looking for, and in particular, looking for those certification opportunities to enhance their resume and give them some unique skills to help them differentiate them from their peers. So, again, our Lean and Six Sigma programs definitely are just as popular outside of the U.S. as they are in the U.S. And for the same reasons, because students know they're going to get a great certification that looks great on a resume, but more than that, they're going to get some skills that help them be successful at projects and differentiate themselves in their organizations.
And just as kind of a closing thought for both of you, this international growth has got to be key not only to IISE, but also to the profession with there's so much growth in technology, so many changing disruptions in the way business operates. This is just key to growing that next generation down the road, isn't it?
I think so. I think so. And, as Doug said, our profession is so flexible. that people see the value in industrial engineers. So I think that's not just a U.S. phenomenon. That's an international phenomenon. So I think the health of our profession is great. We're going to continue to see more and more IEs entering the workforce and doing really well and looking for those opportunities to excel. What do you think, Doug?
Absolutely. It's interesting because I also deal with a lot of our large as well as small partners as well. And one of the areas that I happen to be involved in is some of the competitions. And what is really encouraging to me, and I think it's a reflection of our membership today. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but at one time, just a few years ago, the proportion of our members that were outside the U.S. were in single digits. Today, most people probably don't realize, but we're at more than 50% are outside the U.S. And so that's a wonderful growth. And I think kind of a testament to a lot of the work that the board and staff here has been doing with a lot of outreach and really trying to meet the needs of our partners really around the world. But when I look at the submissions that take place for competitions and awards, it is just exciting to see how diverse the mix is and how many, student teams from outside the U.S. are winning, competitions and awards. Great ideas are invented everywhere. And so this is part of our mission is to unite the profession worldwide. And I'm just really excited on the progress we're making. You never really get there. This is a never ending continuous journey. But I'm really excited about the progress that we're making with our leadership, with the staff here, and really with the incredible support of all of our partners. Today, worldwide, we have well over 100 partners, and that number is growing every single month. So it's an exciting time for the profession. It's really an exciting time here at the Institute. So it's a lot of fun.
It definitely is. Yeah. And we're seeing that reflected also in IISE Magazine. We're getting a lot of contributions from outside the U.S. We feature our international issue in November with quite a few of those. And that, again, just expands the reach that we have and the number of people we are able to get involved. So it's an exciting time. Guys, we appreciate your time, and we look forward to see where this takes us in the future.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you, Keith.
You've been listening to Problem Solved, the IISE podcast, a production of the Institute of Industrial and Systems Engineers in Norcross, Georgia. We hope you'll share this and other Problem Solved episodes with your friends and colleagues. Learn more about sponsorship and advertising opportunities, as well as how you can become a member of IISE by visiting podcast.iise.org.